I'll tell you something that I've done recently for Distribute. In the past 2 weeks, I've booked meetings with 95 director plus marketers in B2B SaaS.
Wow, I love it.
Have you guys done any like influencer posts yet?
I think we've done a little bit, actually working on unveiling a new like Senfluencer program. Actually built on that whole model as well. And so
dude, how do you deal with competition?
So I think there's tons of examples in the past where of other companies where as long as you just, have a great team, a great vision, and you just execute the heck out of what you're trying to do, then you can build a huge everlasting company, even if competitors pop up.
On my LinkedIn, I probably get 8 messages a day for people that are like, oh, we'll give you $1,000 to do a post. My man, Kris, what is it? I just hit record and we just go, Kris.
So cool. I like this.
Yeah, we just keep it raw. Like
we keep it real,
Yeah.
Yeah, no prep, no, hey.
No.
Just jump right in.
Jump in, no prep, jump right in. Well, I have some questions that I want to ask you, which is, did you see this Gmail thing that like
I did.
Okay. Well, what are your thoughts on this? We're on the record now, so just
on the record.
On the record. What are you like? What is happening? What is going to happen here?
So I kind of have two different ways to think about it. One is I think this is good for all the rest of us who are trying to take on more authentic channels like direct mail, like this personalized, very hyper targeted outreach, and some of these other ways that you can use your network and social and other ways, kind of warm intros, or warm meeting setting to book meetings or to grow your business. So I think it's good in that regards.
It's great for Sendoso. I think it's amazing.
Sendoso.
It's amazing for Sendoso.
Yeah. What I'm not sure of is, whenever there's rules, people try to game them, hack them, work around them. So, it'll be interesting to see what happens there. I think about, the few years ago when like the ad industry was shaken up by like the removing cookies and Facebook and Apple and how they were trying to, and it felt like it was this monumental, crazy moment in history, but then it didn't feel like it had such a huge impact. People just like figured out ways around it, or new technologies emerged to make it, you could like, I still get ads. It's not like I'm, and I think the intent was just maybe better ads and less spammy ads, but I still get like garbage ads and retargeting and this and that. So I don't know. I think on one side I'm happy for it for Sendoso. On the other side, I'm not sure it's going to create monumental change in the outbound email space.
Yeah, I'm like, I haven't written my thoughts down on it yet, but like I have so let's talk about the responses that I've seen, right? I've seen people say like, I've seen some good ones. Like, the main one that I'm seeing is, okay, cold calling. That means cold calling rules now. Like cold call. I told you all the cold calling rules. Like, you see all the cold calling Max list. Like Max was like, yes, cold calling. But me, I'm like, dude, I never answer a cold call. Even when I was a salesperson, I never answered a cold call. Like as a CEO, do you answer cold calls?
Never.
Okay. Yeah. And you have the setting on your phone, I'm sure, that's like, don't answer if it's an unknown number.
No, I even left that on. I just let it ring. My pocket's vibrating like 24/7. I think it's, I don't hate on cold calling. I hate on people that are so pro cold calling that it's like the only thing you should ever do is just like go cold call all day. So I think it can help sometimes, or I think like warm calls. Everyone talks about cold calls, but there's warm calls that maybe you showed some intent and then you gave a call, or you did your homework, and it's like anyway, I think there's warm calls, but everyone just talks about cold calls because I think it's more clickbait.
Yeah, it is. People like what are they saying about a cold call? At least in the LinkedIn world, right? And but I'm not against it either. I think the interesting part is that like cold calling is still, it makes people money. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Like, I think, it does. But what's going to happen, I feel like, is people are going to move from, oh, shoot, we can't do this email thing to more cold calling. Yep. And what happens when now everyone's cold calling?
I know.
right? Like,
Yeah.
so then that, and then the other option is like, you could move to Outlook, which, me, I already moved all my stuff to Outlook. I mean, I don't love it, right? But
Yeah.
I prefer Gmail. But, and again, I'm small, so I can do that. But with that, what happens when Outlook then does this,
Yeah.
right? Like, because I don't think they're going to be too far behind, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would imagine because they don't want to be labeled as like the spam cannon email provider, right? And so then I'm like, okay, what's really going to work? And so I was like, all right, here's some ideas. One, gifts. Like, I think I was thinking to you, I was like, oh, I'm going to talk to Kris tomorrow. Like, this is like kind of perfect timing. Gifts are going to be fucking huge, right? Like, I think people are going to send like to get it. It's kind of going full circle to like letters and like sending like people are going to do these letters. I don't know if you've ever got them that are like, they're those like letters you get in the mail. They're like, alert, like your car's on fire, you know? And you're like, it looks so real. And you're like,
I know.
I open it, dude. I'm like, oh my God, like, dude, my car's on fire. Like, what's happening?
Especially when they are handwritten too at times. I'm always opening those. I'm like, someone's wrote me a letter?
Yeah. And you're like, shit, like, dude, is grandma like fine? You know, what's going on, dude? Like, did grandma write me a letter? I've never seen this before.
Exactly.
They're really good. Like, some of them I'm like, that should be illegal. Like, because you just frightened me. Yeah. Okay. So that's one thing. And then the second thing is, I think, which I'm obviously a big proponent of, you're going to see a lot of these companies double down on their teams making content.
Yes.
Like, like, so how are you thinking about that with your team is the question. Like, and I'm sure you are thinking about it somehow.
For sure. I mean, I think the content piece is you're going to be able to you're going to need to look for other channels. And one can be, hey, you've got hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of employees that you are not leveraging their networks of. So I think having your team drive traffic and awareness through social and other channels, through personal influencers, etc., I think is really interesting. But then that also doubles down to leveraging, even in the email channel, being able to make the person on the recipient side feel like this is not spam, like this is like content in an email that's worth, clicking on, that's worth reading. So I think the problem becomes when you're just like spraying and praying and you're throwing out these garbage email templates. But if you're giving really high quality content in emails, I think that channel will still bode really well too.
Will still work, right? Like, yeah. And I think too, like, so I think a couple of things I've been thinking a lot about this, because obviously the distribute is very content heavy. We're building like the Canva for B2B, let's call it, right? So like with that, I'm like, shoot, this is good for me too, because I think marketers are going to realize, okay, well, they're going to figure out content is the best new way to create demand. I think people are starting to kind of figure this out already. So people that are going to clean up are like these influencers that like do B2B. Like I get like, and again, this is not me flexing, but on my LinkedIn, I probably get 8 messages a day for people that are like, oh, we'll give you $1,000 to do a post. I'm not even kidding. Like, it's crazy. And the reason I'm not doing it is because I don't want to be promoting. I want to just promote, distribute. Right?
Yeah, like, exactly.
Yeah. I want to promote my own product. So I'm kind of like, shit, dude. Like, but I can make I could probably make stupid money on just doing a post every day on LinkedIn for someone else. Like,
I mean, it shows you the power of that channel. It's people, it works, and people want to invest more in that channel and drive more, leads and awareness from that channel.
Yeah. Have you guys done any like influencer posts yet? Have you toyed around with it?
I think we've done a little bit, and we're actually working on unveiling a new like Sendoso program. Actually built on that whole model as well, and so more to come there. You heard it first here.
You're teasing it. Is this where you're teasing it first? Oh my gosh!
Teaser here, but more to come here. So.
Oh my gosh, okay, dude, that is genius actually, because these B2B brands, I think there's a million for like B2C TikTokers and like all that. But for the B2B LinkedIn crowd, there's not that one-stop shop.
Yeah.
Dude, let me know I can help.
For sure.
Because I think that's genius. Yeah. That's definitely needed.
But back to your point on and being able to, have your teams build out content. I think that's really powerful because, in yesteryear, you had like one content marketer trying to pump enough stuff out, and then it only fall a lot of times into your brand's company page. And so like you have a lot smaller of an audience that are just following your brand already on social. But once you open it up and unlock, your team's ability to do so, now you've got dozens, hundreds of content marketers at the company. And now you have, millions of potential eyeballs in their audience. So.
Yeah. Dude, I mean, it's so untapped too, man.
Yeah.
Like there's some kind, like you see it with this stuff, but I'm like just getting your team to do like even the smallest post is like, but yeah, it's interesting, man. And another question that I have for you on this front is how are you thinking about this kind of with this cold email stuff? How are you thinking about the SDR function in general?
Yeah.
And I'm kind of putting you on the hot seat right now. I'm maybe putting you on the hot seat, but I want to get takes from someone who runs, how many people are Sendoso? Like 700?
Yeah, not quite that much, but yeah, we've got a few hundred folks now. I mean, I think SDRs will always be an impactful kind of outbound awareness generating group. I think that that kind of role is starting to change a bit, though, in terms of how do you get better at leveraging data and automations instead of just copying and pasting. So I think there's a transformation of these tools that make you better at supplementing using AI or other automations to supplement the manual tasks. So I think SDRs will have to get much better at honing other skills, and might shift to less is more in terms of you need less SDRs but can do more output. And maybe that role will shift from a 22-year-old who you just got out of college and you're just hoping that they spray and pray to could be someone who's way more senior but is able to stitch together these really thoughtful outbound sequences at scale with engineering-esque efforts, with automation-esque efforts, and then continue to use them for other means within the business too. So I think I see this vision where like they're gonna hire a creator, like someone with a big audience or something, to really like someone that's already got it right to like push the company forward. They'll be like the face, like if like I didn't already have a semi following or whatever, that's what I would do, dude. I think that's a great idea. You've got to, because
You're
people
right.
will also want to gravitate towards people than just brands at times too, especially so like I want to follow Andy. I want to hear Andy's thoughts, and if Andy's the an SDR or he's the creator or what, that maybe there's a new title that pops up and it's creating content, reaching out to people. It's going to create more of a an inbound awareness than this pure kind of outbound spray and pray model.
Yeah, and I think that creator themselves will be like the face, kind of like helping create some demand, right, associated with it. I think they'll be paid big freaking bucks, right?
Yeah, I think so too. It'll be big freaking bucks.
I mean, you'll have to. Yeah. I mean, they have the leverage, right? It's like, okay, I'm a YouTuber. Every time I post something, I have millions of people see it. Like, that's leverage. Now, is it the right people? Who's to say, right? But I think there's a lot of freaking leverage there. And then when you think about that, I'll tell you something that I've done recently for Distribute. And here, I'm looking at my stats right now.
Yeah.
In the past 2 weeks, I've booked meetings with 95 director plus marketers in B2B SaaS.
Wow. I love it.
Fully automated, one email.
Yeah, that's the future.
Yeah, like I'll show you the dashboard. Now, 50+% of people that respond, you know why they respond? They say, hey, Andy, and this is not me talking, this is me trying to prove a point.
Yeah.
they say, hey, Andy, I know you from your LinkedIn content. Happy to
Mm-hmm.
chat.
Yeah.
And so my point here is that if you can mesh this person that, if you email me, Kris,
Yeah.
I'm gonna open the email because I know
Yeah.
who you are, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just like, I mean, I've got, then this is very micro, right? But at a macro level, like if you have someone in your world and you know their name and they email you,
Yeah.
guess what? You're probably gonna freaking open if you know the name.
For sure. And then you're going to be even more engaged once you open it and you see an interesting link or some interesting content that is educational or informative. And now you're feeling like you're getting some extra value out of that too. So
Yeah.
and that's where I think to the kind of the soft CTAs go back into play, where you're not like, hey, can I get 15 minutes of your time right now? And instead it's like, hey, here's really something interesting that another individual like you liked, and they're like, wow, this is interesting. By the way, like, can I book a meeting? Yeah. I think you're going to see a world change where people are going to like beg for meetings as opposed to trying to, get asked for meetings.
Yeah, I think it's shifting to that, right? And it's also like, if you can, this is why I always tell you, because we've been friends for a while, but I'm always like, dude, Kris, you need to get more on LinkedIn, dude. Because then if we can send emails from you to a marketer, they're going to open it and they're going to be like, oh, hey, Kris wants to meet. And maybe you sauce it up a bit. So you're like, hey, I can't meet, but would love for you to meet my team, right? Someone on my team, because we can't take meetings all day. But like, then, dude, I think that is the combo of like, how do you save email, right? That's like the savior, I think.
Yeah, we got to save email.
Like, how do we save email?
How do we save it?
How do we save it? And I think going back to what you said, there's warm calls. The same thing is like, if you're emailing someone, guess what? If you have this content engine that your team's producing, and this face that's reaching out, then it's not actually cold because they know Sally Smith, right? Or they know that person. And so that's what's interesting to me. So this goes back to it goes back to content still. Like you have to do the content.
Exactly.
Right? So anyways, man, all right, I have a question for you. What's like you guys send, how many gifts do you send like a week right now?
Tens of thousands, if not more, some weeks, hundreds of thousands.
Wow. And I'm guessing the holiday season is coming. So this is your
busy huge season. Spike over the next 2 months. It'll be busy for us.
And so like you have warehouses with all the physical stuff?
Yep.
That's great. Like, do you own the warehouses or do you rent them? Like, what's the?
We lease them. But yeah, one of ours in Phoenix is a couple 100,000 square feet. It's like multiple Costco's in one. It's like you have to have like a scooter to go around in it practically.
That's kind of awesome, dude.
It's pretty cool.
You have to get a Sendoso scooter to go around. I know. To like.
Or bring back the Segways or something.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Okay, like, what's the weirdest gifts that you've seen people want to send? Have people wanted to send some weird shit?
Yeah, I mean, there's like people have wanted to send some like X-rated stuff that we say no to, or some like huge things that are hard for us, like huge like Traeger grills and barbecues, which are just kind of a pain in the ass.
Did you ever try sending those for people?
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, we've sent so many random things that I could probably just spend a day laughing at all the things that we send, or just being curious, like why would anyone send that? But and then we have this really interesting integration with Amazon, so you can take something from Amazon's 500 million SKUs, use your Sendoso account balance, it sends to us, we unbox it, rebox it, add a handwritten note, ship it out, and it's all tracked. So you can imagine the weird things coming off of Amazon. I think one company had this crazy campaign, was sending rubber chickens, which is random. And they had like a 90% hit rate. They were booking millions of dollars in pipelines, sending these like $10 rubber chickens. I'm like, what's going on?
No way.
But sometimes it's just the creativity, the weirdness, the timing, the message. If it's a funny pun that goes along with it, you never know.
What, in terms of this gifting, right? Like, I want to ask you this. I've seen other gifting platforms come to the market, right? And how do you deal with competition? Because I think right now in this age of AI, and like things are getting so much easier to build, right? Like and people are coming out of nowhere and they can like rebuild software quickly. You have a moat, right? Because you have like warehouse. You can't just spin up a Sendoso. Like
Totally.
you're right. So you've got a good moat. But like when new competitors come into the market, what's been like your operating model or kind of your personal like mental framework on how to deal with that, right? Do you ignore it? Do you say, oh, let me check them out, stay close, like, you know, like make frenemies? Like what's your kind of mindset there?
Yeah, so I like to keep an eye on it, kind of make some frenemies, but ultimately I think of competitors as alternatives. And so what's the biggest alternative to not using Sendoso? And so that scares me more of the hundreds of thousands of companies out there that are not using any competitor, any nature, or are not doing gifting and direct mail yet, or not doing tech-enabled gifting and direct mail yet. And so that's the biggest competitor that I keep my eyes on. Much bigger of a competitor than some ankle biter copycat that pops up.
Yeah.
And so I try to keep an eye on them, see what they're doing, you know, and it's important for product marketing or for pricing and packaging. But I definitely don't want to like lose sleep or lose track of the bigger picture because of another alternative that's popped up. So I think there's tons of examples in the past where of other companies where as long as you just, you know, have a great team, a great vision, and you just execute the heck out of what you're trying to do, then you can build a huge everlasting company, even if competitors pop up.
Yeah. And who was, this is always interesting. Who were your first hires? Like when you like, walk me through that, like for Sendoso, like, because you came out like, this is an interesting idea. I bet you so many people were like, dude, send gifts. Like, that's not sales. Like, what is that? Like, you know? But like, so walk us through, like, when did you raise, go all in, or did you were testing it? I think you were a side hustler, like big side hustler your whole life too, right? Like,
so it kind of got started as like a side hustle in terms of building out the software. So how to bootstrap, had a couple engineers, then went all in full time, hired a few more engineers. Me and my co-founder were salespeople, so we just hit the streets, sending stuff, you know, reaching out to people, doing outbound, building up our customer base. And then we hired a CSM, marketer, a couple more salespeople.
Got it.
And so it was really just sprinting to grab customers. And then also, how do we hire customer success managers to help support all the demand we had? So we had no problem driving demand in the early days, and it was how do we keep the demand happy?
It was more like fulfilling everything, right?
Fulfilling the promise, because the promise was very apparent on why you needed us, and so that was very advantageous, and people love sharing cool new tools, cool new channels, cool new strategies. So we got a lot of word of mouth, a lot of referrals from customers, still do, from just people having success and wanting to share their success.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I always like asking this question. So you hired some engineers first, and you did like, did you even validate the idea? Or you were just like, no, I know this is needed. Like this is, you know, like, I'm gonna build it. I was the customer. So I was like, I need this desperately. And so I kind of skipped a little bit of like the design partner and market research phase and just said, I want to use this. I would pay for this. Like, I need this tomorrow. Dude,
that was enough for me to build it up. So that probably saved me 6-9 months of kind of that phase. And then also, I think sometimes during that phase, you could get discouraged by what looks like a competitor, which again, might discourage you from going forward. And instead, if you know that you want to build this, you're passionate about it, and you've got that, you know, urge, then go for it. And maybe you'll find some competitors later on in life, but you can out execute, you can outscale, you can outbound.
That's interesting, because interesting. You built it for yourself, basically, which is like the interesting. It's always interesting to see what founders do. Like that's been my secret sauce, right? Is like, people, how do you come up with these ideas? It's like, I just build what I want for me. Like really, like, and I know if I'm building for me, there's a million other people that probably are we're not as unique as we think we are, right? Like most of the time. So there's that. Now, in the first hires is interesting because you were like, I know this is it. I'm going to hire some engineers. You built it, which is interesting. I was talking to Brian Long the other day from Attentive. I know we got to jump soon, but I had him on the pod, and yeah, and he was. I asked him, I was like, "Who would you hire first?" Because I'm in this phase right now for distributor, right? Yes, and I'm like, well, we already have engineers and stuff, but thinking of like next key hires besides an engineer. And he goes, 2 people. He goes, I hired a salesperson first, which most people will tell you not to hire a salesperson until you're ready, whatever. But he's like, no, you test the messaging. You're doing sales yourself, but you have someone else testing the messaging with you, figuring it out. And then second, he goes, a recruiter. I go, recruiter that early? He's like, yeah, dude. He's like, because that's one of the main things. Once you know you have something or you're bullish on it, it's building the team.
Building a team
And he's like, most people say they do it 80% of the time, but if you go look in their calendars, he said it's BS. Like they don't, right? Like, and but they know that's what they should be doing.
Yeah.
Right.
I think the sales piece too is important because a lot of founders get stuck with founder sales, and they have this, if you're a passionate founder, you could kind of sell anything to anybody. And so you're kind of faking a bit product market fit, or what I call go to market fit. So you're like, oh yeah, I just got like 50 customers myself. I'm going to go and scale this. But it's not until you find a stranger who has to go sell this that you can really determine, is there even a bigger demand? Because so I think it is critical to bring on those salespeople, test messaging, and test a stranger coming in, building pipeline that's repeatable and scalable.
Yeah, that's interesting. So that changed my mindset because my ego was like, no, I was in sales. Like, I'm going to do the first sales. I'm like, and your ego says that, but then, I mean, and Brian knows what he's doing. This is like his second hit, So I'm like, okay, I'm going to listen to you, Brian. I'm going to listen to you, man. So anyways, well, hey, Kris, man, thanks for hopping on.
Of course. This was fun.
This was awesome. I know I have a lot of energy, so thank you for hanging in there.
Well, awesome having me on. Thank you. And then we'll talk again soon, man.
All right, man. I'll talk to you soon. Later. Bye.